The weirdest way to tell if a country is lying about how well it's doing is by looking at its people's legs. I'm serious. Scientists have a name for it. They call it the biological standard of living. And it's brutally honest, because GDP can be inflated, economic reports can be faked, politicians can cherry-pick numbers, but your skeleton doesn't lie. Your bones recorded everything, every meal you missed, every infection your body fought, every night you went to bed hungry as a child, and it's all stored in the length of your legs. Here's how it works. When you were conceived, your DNA wrote a blueprint, a maximum height, the tallest you could ever possibly be. Think of it as a ceiling. But here's what most people get wrong. Your genes don't decide your height. They decide your height's ceiling. Whether you actually reach it? That depends entirely on what happens in one tiny window of time, the first 1,000 days after birth. That's it. Roughly your first 2 years and 9 months on this planet. What you eat in that window, the protein, the nutrients, the calories, determines how close you get to your genetic ceiling. And when a kid is underfed in those 1,000 days, or when they get sick too often and their body burns all its energy fighting infections, the body makes a brutal choice. It shuts down vertical growth. Specifically, it stops the legs first. The torso keeps growing. The organs keep developing. But the legs? They get sacrificed. The body basically says, I don't have enough fuel to build you tall. Survival first, height later. Except later never comes. The window closes, and whatever height you are at age 3 is roughly what you're stuck with. You could lose 4 to 6 inches of your final height, just because of what you ate before you could even form a memory. And this is where it gets really clever. Scientists don't just look at total height. They look at the ratio of leg length to total body height. It's called the sitting height ratio, and it's basically a cheat code for reading someone's childhood nutrition. 2 people can be the exact same height, 5'8". But if one of them has longer legs relative to their torso, it means they were better nourished in early childhood. Their body had enough resources to build everything, legs included. Short legs relative to the torso? That's the fingerprint of early malnutrition. The body protected the core and sacrificed height. And you can't fake this. You can't gym it away. You can't surgery it. It's baked into your skeleton permanently before your 3rd birthday. Which means, and this is the wild part, if you line up the entire population of a country and measure their legs, you're reading the country's nutrition report card from decades ago. And that's exactly what scientists did. The biggest height study ever conducted measured the heights of people from 200 countries over an entire century. And the results are staggering. Start with the Netherlands. In the 1800s, the Dutch were one of the shortest populations in Europe. Seriously. Average Dutch men were about 5'5", shorter than the French, shorter than the British. But then something happened. The Netherlands got rich. Not overnight, slowly, over decades. Better nutrition, better health care, cleaner water, and the children's legs started growing. By 2024, Dutch men average 6'1", the tallest population on the planet. That's an 8-inch gain in roughly 150 years. Same genetics. Same DNA ceiling. The only thing that changed? How well they fed their kids in the first 1,000 days. Their legs literally grew with their economy. But the most dramatic example isn't even the Netherlands. It's South Korea. After the Korean War in the 1950s, South Korea was devastated. One of the poorest countries on Earth. Average income? About the same as sub-Saharan Africa at the time. Then came the economic miracle. In just 2 generations, South Korea transformed into a technological powerhouse. GDP exploded. And what happened to the children? South Korean women born in the year 2000 are nearly 8 inches taller than South Korean women born in 1900. 8 inches. Same gene pool. Their height graph looks like a rocket launch. Straight up. And every inch of it maps perfectly to the country's economic rise. So height tracks the economy. Case closed, right? Not exactly, because one country breaks the pattern completely: India. On paper, India is one of the great economic success stories of the last 30 years. GDP growth that most countries dream of. A tech industry rivaling Silicon Valley. A space program that reached Mars on a budget smaller than most Hollywood movies. But here's the problem. Indian height, compared to a century ago, has barely moved. While South Korean women gained 8 inches, Indian women gained about 2. And the average Indian today is shorter than the average person in most of sub-Saharan Africa, despite having a larger economy. How is that possible? Because GDP measures money, not food on a child's plate, not clean water in a village, not whether a pregnant mother has access to basic nutrition. India's wealth grew, but it pooled at the top. The GDP skyrocketed, but the calories didn't reach the kids who needed them in that first 1,000-day window. 40% of Indian children under 5 are still stunted today. Their legs are shorter than their genes intended, and no amount of economic growth on a spreadsheet will add those inches back. This is exactly why a Nobel Prize-winning economist named Angus Deaton dropped a bomb on the entire economics profession. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, but barely, that GDP is one of the most misleading numbers in the world. Because GDP can go up while children go hungry. GDP can soar while hospitals crumble. GDP counts the money in a country. It doesn't count where the money goes. And Deaton's argument is simple. If you want to know how a country is actually doing, not how its stock market is doing, not how its billionaires are doing, measure the people. Measure their height. Measure their leg length. Measure their childhood disease rates. Because those numbers can't be cooked. Those numbers can't be spun. A bureaucrat can inflate a GDP report, but they can't inflate a 7-year-old's femur. Height is a receipt. It's proof of what actually happened, not what a government says happened. And if you want the most disturbing proof that this works, look at North Korea and South Korea. These two countries split in 1945. Same land, same climate, same gene pool. Genetically, the people of North and South Korea are identical. But after 80 years of radically different governments, radically different food systems, and radically different childhoods. South Korean men are now 3 to 6 inches taller than North Korean men. Same DNA, same genetic ceiling. But one country reached it. The other didn't even come close. When North Korean defectors cross the border into the South, doctors can literally see the difference. Shorter legs, smaller frames, bones that tell the story of a childhood spent underfed. Their skeletons are historical documents, and they tell a story no propaganda can rewrite. And this isn't ancient history. This is happening right now, everywhere. Guatemala has one of the highest child stunting rates on Earth. Nearly half of all children under 5 are stunted. Meanwhile, Japan, which was devastated after World War II, invested heavily in childhood nutrition programs. Result? Japanese people today are over 6 inches taller than Japanese people in 1900. Even the United States tells a story. Americans were the tallest people in the world for most of the 20th century. But since the 1980s, American height has stagnated. European countries kept getting taller. America plateaued. The richest country in the world stopped growing. And scientists say the reason is inequality. The wealth is there, but it's not reaching every child's plate. So the next time a government tells you the economy is booming, don't look at the GDP chart. Look down. Look at the children's legs. Because an economy isn't measured by how much money a country makes. It's measured by how tall its poorest children grow. And legs don't lie. 60 years from now, the kids being born today will be walking proof of whether we actually got it right. Their height won't be a number on a spreadsheet. It'll be a verdict, printed in bone. And unlike a GDP report, you can't edit bone.